Hey, welcome back for another conversation here on the couch. We're going to be talking about what are some of those deal breakers, especially when you're thinking about marriage that feature someone, your Romeo or Juliet, if you're going to say I do to that person, but maybe there's some question marks in your mind. What are those deal breakers? So, Adrian.
Yeah, so dating, right? Dating. We're having fun. We think this might be the person, but there are some things we really got to watch out for, because there's some things that follow us right into the marriage experience and can set us up for a lifetime of pain and suffering. So yeah, we really want to unpack that today and make sure that we understand the big red stop sign before marriage that says, don't do it, get out now.
Run.
We're going to be back in just a minute to talk about that. So I guess if somebody came to me, Jordan, and said, hey, I'm thinking of marrying so-and-so, do you think it's a good idea, Adrian? I would say one of the biggest questions would be, are you better together? In other words, do you raise each other up and encourage each other to be better people? You know, in a natural synergistic kind of a way? Or do you actually, through the habits and the practices that you each bring into the relationship, actually tend to pull each other down rather than bringing the best out of one another? And one of those key things, and there's a whole lot of them that would maybe mean we're not better together, but one of the key deal breakers for me is any kind of unbridled addiction, right? Like, I mean, I'm talking alcohol addiction, I'm talking illicit drugs, I'm talking gambling, I'm talking sexual addictions, right? Marriage doesn't automatically fix what was broken before marriage.
No, absolutely. I mean, you think if you're just going to put that magical ring upon their finger, you think, oh, this is going to go away. No, actually, when you come into a close relationship with someone, often these personal, or you might say hidden addictions, they actually come to the forefront, and they can become maybe even put it like a magnifying glass on it. It just blows it up in your life. It's become aware to not only to yourself, but to the other individual.
And you could think of addiction as a relationship dynamic, like it's an illicit relationship or a disproportionate relationship with an object, a thing, a pleasure. And so what happens is the person who is an addict has another master in their life. They have a relationship with that thing where that thing is their master. It controls them, it demands, it punishes, it insists, right? And now you're going to join these two lives together. They're going to bring these addictions into the relationship. The addictions are not going to go away. The masters of a lifetime are not going to wait outside the door there. What's going to happen is they're going to come with them into this marriage, and they're going to compete with the loyalty and the good stuff that should be happening in marriage. And so instead of these two being able to give themselves to each other in an undivided relationship of loyalty, the relationship dynamic with the addiction is the one that's calling for the undivided loyalty, and that's going to be a constant competition and a problem. Yeah, absolutely. What else can you think of that's a sort of a definite deal breaker? If this is present, get out, do not get married.
Yeah, I think if violence is showing its ugly head in any way or any form, that can be mental or psychological violence. That can also be physical violence.
Definitely the physical violence, right?
If there is being harmed and there's over apologetic thinking that, oh no, sorry, it was just a once-off, it won't ever happen again. Well, I'll tell you what, before you might have sealed the deal, and if they have already betrayed that trust now, there's a good chance that is going to come up again, and they haven't been able to manage or
Right, marriage does not take anger out of an angry person. In fact, marriage might even provide, because you're living in such close proximity to someone, right, having to forge new habits, share space together. In some ways, marriage might even exasperate anger, make it worse in the long term once you get past the honeymoon period, right? So violence before marriage is a clear indicator this is not a good union. Get out now, right? Yeah. I mean, another one that comes to mind is if you are a rescuer person and you think that marriage is going to help you rescue this other person that needs rescuing, that is not the purpose of marriage.
No, we're not to marry people into the kingdom, or that's not the purpose of marriage.
Yeah, or just to fix them, right?
Yeah.
Just to, oh, this person just needs love, they just need this. Like,
they may need all of that.
Absolutely. But marriage isn't the way, it's not the tool to rescue someone that needs to be. You know, I often think of it, I heard once this analogy that marriage isn't two half cookies coming together to become one cookie. Marriage is supposed to be two people who are whole cookies by themselves joining together.
Like an Oreo.
Yeah, like an Oreo, absolutely, right? And so if you're going to, maybe I think that this marriage will rescue me, or maybe I think that if I marry this person, I'll rescue them. Actually, we're forming a codependent relationship, which is a form of relationship addiction, and it only leads to pain and suffering and disappointment.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, another point to keep in mind, especially this being when two lives come together in marriage, sometimes there can be expectation that all of your identity or personal thoughts and opinions just deceased, and you are going to become like the other person. It can't happen. We don't throw away our personal identity. Often marriage does call for compromises.
You do form a new identity together.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
But at the same time, I don't lose who I am. In fact, if I'm marrying someone, it should be because I love who they are.
Yeah.
I want them to be them, right? Like that's who I've fallen in love with. But sometimes in marriage, you're quite right, Jordan, a dynamic of control can come in. And that control is often based in the fact that there's no trust. This kind of jealous looking over the shoulder when there hasn't been anything to warrant that having to take place, right? And so this jealousy, control, the loss of identity, the desire to control a person, if you see that kind of thing, that either you are doing that to someone else or somebody else is doing that to you before marriage, do not pursue marriage, because it's only going to exasperate that. It makes it 1,000 times worse. It's not the solution to that problem, right? And I guess I would go on from there. Another deal breaker that would be very clear to me is if there is cheating before marriage. Putting someone into a marriage or drawing them into a marriage doesn't mean that, now that they've said the vows, they'll be committed to me when they weren't committed to me before.
Yeah. And hey, cheating can look like in a variety of ways. That doesn't necessarily mean just sexually, being involved with other people.
Full-on sexual activity.
You can
pornography,
be emotionally cheating from your partner, can't you?
Yeah.
And that can look like just investing all your emotional attention maybe into another person.
Yeah.
Which you can be betraying the trust of your future spouse.
Yeah. Any form of lust, as I mentioned earlier on, pornography or anything else, lust. Marriage doesn't fix those things, right? You, like I say, you are the two people. You bring your best into this marriage and you bring your worst into this marriage. So it's very important before marriage that we kind of know what this person's worst is.
Yeah.
And we're honest enough to reveal what our worst is, because it will be found out at some point in time. You can't hide it when you're in a marriage relationship. So there's a few key deal breakers.
Another deal breaker would be the aspect, as the Bible describes, being unequally yoked. So what does it mean to be
yoked? That sounds like oxen talk right there.
Or is it a yolk and an egg? What's going on? Double yoker? I don't know. But you can be unequally yoked. So what happens is, oxen talk, old biblical language, where two oxen would yoke up together as an instrument of service, right? They're going to go shoulder to shoulder and plow a field together, right? Work together.
So they got to pull equally, right?
And they got to be able to stand aside from one another.
You can't put like a bull and a donkey.
Yeah.
That'd be unequally yoked. One's going to pull harder than the other one, right?
Yeah,
love that. So good metaphor.
Good. It's an excellent metaphor. And actually, if you go deeper into that metaphor, sometimes one might be a little stronger than the other, may be able to take a lead, but they complement each other's strengths and help each other in each other's weaknesses.
So marriage, if you're going to marry someone, you want to be sure that you are equally yoked, because you're joining lives together, right? Two individuals become one new thing, a new creation going forward. So you want to complement like life purpose, life direction, the issue of
where are we going together?
Yeah, like the issue of faith. Even, right?
Yeah.
And you think that's a small thing before you're married, but after you're married, that actually becomes a very significant thing. Like, do we share the same faith orientation? Are we going to be pulling in different directions? Can we share that spiritual connection with one another, or is that always going to be something that is lost to the other person, or that's out of bounds because it causes conflict or whatever? Like, I think that's a really important component to building a healthy, strong, firm marriage, that you're able to share that and pull together in the same direction as far as faith is concerned.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, places where you might even live, choices sometimes like, hey, I'm involved in my wife and I are international relationships. Sometimes you might have to choose where you're going to live, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a deal breaker, but the things need to be aware of as you are going
Yeah,
into these
absolutely.
relationships of where you might be going to live.
In fact, maybe you want to ask a question about cross-cultural marriages. I mean, both of us are in cross-cultural marriages. My wife is Hispanic. You're a Canadian married to a Kiwi girl.
Yeah.
So we could talk about that in another episode.
We're not married to each other, though.
Yeah, no, not us. But, you know, if you've got any questions around marriage and relationships, please type them in the comments. We want to hear from you. We want to know what sort of conversations we can have that would be of benefit to you. But we really want to thank you for joining us on the couch again today. Jordan and Adrian and the Whangarei Seventh-day Adventist Church YouTube channel. Hope to see you back there again. And do all those things we do on YouTube, like and share and comment and all those cool things. Looking to see what you want us to talk about next in the comments below. Thank you for joining us.
See ya.